Hola y bienvenidos amigos. Hello and welcome friends. Steve here, Street Smart Travel. Last day on the farm down here in Vilcabamba. Finally got my plans together. Something came through after some other things fell through. And heading up north tomorrow for a day on the buses. Gonna head up to I think it's more of a cultural center slash farm slash ceremony center somewhere a little bit north of Cuenca. Should be a full day on the buses. Good times. But for today, I'll do the February monthly budget check-in to let you know how my February was. And I was on my way to an awesome February and then had a couple expenses show up. One I was expecting, one I was not expecting. They added to my month, took me out of extreme awesome territory and put me into, yeah, it's still pretty good. They were each for 41 bucks. I'll get into those later in the video. So very simply, round up these numbers. February I spent 194 US dollars, which came out to about 280 Canadian dollars. The exchange rate was pretty high, about 1.44 all month, which means $1 US is worth $1.44 Canadian, and $1 Canadian is worth a little bit less than 70 cents US. On a daily breakdown, that's a little under $6.50 US a day and a little over $9.30 Canadian a day. So still a really good month. Those two expenses, each for $41, exactly $41. One was the renewal of my Workaway subscription, which gives me access to all these volunteer opportunities. So yeah, I knew that was coming. And the other was the charger for my MacBook Air. Ate it. So I had to take off. This was the Friday of Carnaval. Went up to a city called Loja, where I knew I'd be able to find chargers and hopefully parts and whatever. The charger was still working, the cable was broken, so I thought maybe if I can get the cable replaced, let's see how that goes. By the time I got up there and found the shops I was looking for, I was quoted 71 US dollars, or 70 US dollars, to replace the cable that goes from the charger to my MacBook. Another place quoted me 30 bucks to do the exact same thing. And then I found another place where I could just buy a brand new charger, not Apple, but a generic charger that works fine, and that was 41 US dollars. So guess what I did? There's the Temazcal in the background. I did a video recently where I was showing you these things, saying yeah, they were going to do, or they did do, a San Pedro ceremony, and I respectfully declined. Done San Pedro before. It was a little bit much. It was about 14 hours. I'm just endless. Like, is this ever going to stop? So I'm a little gun shy for round 2 with San Pedro. But coming back to Carnaval. So Carnaval down here, the first time I experienced it would have been 2019. I was in a place called Baños, also known as Baños de Agua Santa, but everybody just calls it Baños, which, yes, translates as bathrooms. Very odd. And I was just walking down the street and saw all these people, kids and teenagers, with water balloons and buckets of water and water guns and huge canisters of foam, like shaving cream, just going after each other in the streets. I'm like, what is this? So I ducked into a restaurant and sat by the window so I could see what was going on the street without being subject to all of it, and ended up watching water wars. There's kids up on the roofs, there's kids in the streets, and they're going crazy, pelting each other with water and foam. Like, okay, good fun. I'm going back to my hotel and I'm just going to hang out there until this blows over, right? And it goes on for 2 or 3 days. So that was my first experience with Carnaval. Now I'm always aware that it's coming up in February. The closest equivalent to that, I guess, in the States would be Mardi Gras in New Orleans, which I've been to, and that was awesome. No, water guns and whatever. But I'm here on the farm, and there's a couple young French women, girls, I guess, really, late teens, maybe early 20s, and they decided they wanted to go up to Vilcabamba, up to the sort of commercial center, the biggest, it's not a city really, but biggest town near here, for Carnaval. And they didn't really appreciate what they were getting themselves into. So when they came back, they had been pelted with water guns, paint. That's a new one. Didn't know they did that. and I'm guessing water soluble because it was rinsed off by the time I saw them, foam, and eggs, of all things. So I know eggs are kind of a luxury right now up in North America. They're still really cheap down here. Obviously, if people are throwing them at each other, they're not very expensive. So they got the full immersion experience, let's say, of Carnaval, and that's why I stayed on the finca, on the farm here, because I knew like this is not going to end well. And it doesn't matter if you're from here or not. If you're walking around during Carnaval, fair game, right? Somebody's going to pelt you with water, and it's harmless. Right? I can imagine being a kid, it would be hilarious and great fun to just be able to throw water and eggs and paint at people with no repercussions at all. I didn't want to be on the receiving end of that, so I decided to stay on the farm, and I'm really happy with my choice. They got the full experience, and they were, I guess, shell-shocked when they came back. They were like, man, like I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know that was going to happen. Like, that's why I didn't go out. The joys of travel. Yeah. So, this is my final day on the farm. I had plans to move on, and they fell through mostly because of weather. We had a record-breaking drought here in Ecuador and all through South America last year, and now it's not record-breaking, but we're getting a lot of rain. That's washing out highways and bridges, and when that happens, there's no buses down here for days at a time. There's no way to pass, on the highway. Sometimes it's a landslide or a mudslide. There's people that die in these situations. So it goes from one extreme to the other. And I've kind of been waiting for an opening. Yesterday, it did not rain. I think that's the first day in a month. Like all of February, it rained every single day and mostly every night. And yesterday it did not, and today so far it has not. We'll see if that continues or not. But the buses are back running, and I am confident I can make it up about, I think it's an hour and a half past Cuenca. I'm heading to a place, Cañar province, and like I said, to a ceremonial center, community center, farm combo there. I'm not really sure what it is, but I'll be doing more volunteer work there. And the reason I'm heading up there is because I need to be closer to Cuenca to do the paperwork for my permanent resident visa and to apply for a new cedula. It's a government issued ID. It's like your identification card. So the one that I have expires when my temporary resident visa expires, and when my permanent resident visa comes online, then I can apply for this other document, and I have to do it in person. From here, I'm at least by bus, probably close to about 7 hours away from Cuenca, and when I go up there, I'll be an hour and a half away, so it's much easier for access. Plus, in about 5 weeks, I'm going back to Canada for a visit. Heads up, all my friends and family there. I'll be there mid-April. So all of that to say, I'm heading to a different volunteer opportunity tomorrow. I'm spending the entire day on the bus, or on multiple buses, I guess, more correctly. And when I see you next, I should be up in the mountains in Cañar province. You'll have a much different view of what's going on in Ecuador. And from a different part, totally different part, higher up in the mountains, higher altitude, colder, hopefully not too rainy, but we'll see. So anyways, February budget, great month. Looking forward to March being more of the same. Carnaval, if you're down here, maybe you don't want to leave your house for a couple days. The Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, over that weekend, good idea to, unless you want to get pelted with eggs and paint and foam and water, with no fear of reprisal for those who are throwing those things at you, probably a good idea to stay indoors. All part of the fun of life on the road. I will say, peace out. See you out on the road.